Hey, what's up and welcome. I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to the Sounders career, where today we're going to be finishing the regular season, but this might be a little bit of a shorter episode because I'm really only going to be playing one game, and it's going to be the Domestic Cup Final against Sporting Kansas City. We still have 4 regular season games left to play, but we've already clinched the top spot in the league overall. We've already clinched the Supporter Shield, which obviously means we've clinched the #1 spot in the Western Conference as well heading into the playoffs. So the remaining 4 games against Dallas, San Jose again, and the LA Galaxy, they flat out just don't matter for us. There's no reason for us to play them, so I'll probably simulate those last 4 games and just play that Domestic Cup Final. But after we finish the last game against LA, I'm going to go into an in-depth squad report, which I usually just do a squad report with the players' names rolling through on the side, and you can kind of see their growth. I think I'm going to stop and talk about a couple of the players, what I've liked and what I don't like, maybe who I want to try to maybe get rid of this offseason, who I want to keep, and maybe he's primed for bigger things, stuff like that. So it'll be an in-depth squad report, but it still might be a little bit of a short episode. So to start off with, today we have a game at home against Dallas, and that is our starting lineup for this one. It is, that is full reserve. We got Banks starting in there next to Mansoray up top. That's how reserved this lineup is. But we have the Domestic Cup Final coming up in 3 days. I'm not risking the starters in this. There's no reason to. So it is going to be that reserve team. Yeah, this might go. We got a draw. That's not how we could have won that game if it hadn't been for a late Dallas goal in the 88th minute on a penalty. That's a hell of a performance from the reserves. All right, so here we go. The Domestic Cup Final, the U.S. Open Cup Final against Sporting Kansas City. A chance for us to get our actual first trophy of this series. Yes, technically we've already won the Supporter Shield, but that's not an actual trophy in this game, which kind of sucks. So this is the first physical trophy we can actually win in this series. And we're going up against Sporting Kansas City, who always have a pretty solid team. Yeah, they're a little bit down in the standings this year, but they always play the Sounders tough. And to make things even more difficult, we're going to be on the road for this one. So we got the first choice starting 11 in there. They're ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's do it. All right, here we go. Kickoff against Sporting, and this is not a typical Sporting lineup. I think they're going through a little bit of a transition with their team. Veterans Feilhaber and Zussi, I don't think are anymore at this team. I know Zussi has been sold. I think he went to Chicago, but I don't know where Feilhaber is. He's not in the lineup in here today, so yeah, they've got a little bit of a younger team going on. I think they're in a little bit of a transition period with that franchise. How did Ozzy? Oh, Ozzy. Big tackle, Ozzy. Get that away. Yes. Ozzy in for Nico. Nico looking for Jordan. Jordan Morris is through. Oh, please, Jordan. Please, Jordan. Jordan Morris puts it home. So nervous going through on goal with Jordan Morris. For some reason, I can't get him to score goals, but he does it here. That's probably the biggest goal he's scored in this series. It's one of the only goals he's scored in this series, but it is a big one. It puts us in the lead in the Domestic Cup Final. That's the first time we've gotten through on goal to get a shot on, and Morris converts it. 1-0 over Sporting. Yes, good ball in for Clint. Dempsey's holding it up. The back heel for Nico Ladero. Good save from Tim Melia. I probably should have taken that a little bit closer. Oh, it was almost 2-0. That pass from Dempsey, the back heel to open that up, was sick. All right, this could be a little bit dangerous, this free kick. We don't mark very well. Look, he's just taking the ball down. Stephen Fry, big save, buddy. Big save. We're not marking we don't mark well on set pieces. That was awful. Boy, Justin Michaels, big tackle. Come on, boys. Sporting have a lot of numbers back, though. But Morris. Boy, nice job from Morris. Nice move, Jordan Morris. Is this his coming out game? We've waited for him all season long to start scoring goals. He's got 2 in the biggest game so far this season. And it is 2-0 over Sporting Kansas City. That was good patient play as well. He got the ball into his feet. Good pass from Nico. Waited for a second. Allowed Opara to come up to him. Then turned the corner around him. And Opara just can't keep up with the pace. Morris puts it away. 2-0 Sounders. Boy. Uh-oh. Salam is up the wing. Ooh, Torres. It's Dwyer in the box. He's going to try to turn it. Marshall's all over him. Keep on him, Marshall. Keep on him. Someone come help. I need some help in there. What a pass. Oh, Roldan was there. We still don't have the ball the way, though. No, it's Mustavar. Blocked from Roman Torres. Uh-oh. That's a bad turnover. This is really... Oh, my goodness. Oh, that deflected off Marshall's face and almost into the back of the net. Sporting have got some numbers here. Please get there, Brad. Oh, boy. That pass. Can't even be mad about that. That pass was unbelievable. A nice little chip ball. A look at that split. He got past 4 players with that pass. Just threaded the needle and great finish as well. I think that was Peterson. That was a fantastic goal from Sporting. Okay, it's 2-1. Not a lot of time left. Can we hold on to this thing? There you go. Get rid of that thing. Beautiful ball through. And it's Olex. I didn't even try to get that ball all the way up there, but Olex was standing in the perfect spot. Olex, please get the pass up. There it is. And Jordan Morris completes the hat trick and puts this thing away. Olex Anderson to Jordan Morris. Woo! Yo, the final 10 minutes of this game, Sporting have been all over us with the high pressure. I couldn't get the ball out of my own half. That was just a lucky pass to Olex Anderson. He just happened to be in the right spot. Good job shielding the man off as well, getting up the field. And found Jordan Morris. Oh, man, this game ended up being a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. And that is the final whistle straight from kickoff. And the Seattle Sounders back to what they do best, and that is winning U.S. Open Cups. They've won quite a few in their history, and we're adding one more to the trophy case. This is what we're here to do. We're here to continue this legacy. We're off to a good start. That's another U.S. Open Cup trophy for the Rave Green. All right, so let's go ahead and finish off this regular season. We have 2 games back-to-back against last place San Jose, and then 1 game to finish off the season in Carson, California against the LA Galaxy. So we're going to go with this reserve lineup here against Sporting, just trying to save those starters. I really don't want to risk injury to those guys in these final 3 games that really don't make a difference. Still, we find a way to win this game. Wondolowski scored. Don't ever like seeing him score against me. I really don't like that guy. But hey, Zendejas and Gallo came through big for us. Harry Shipp missed a penalty. What else is new? Harry Shipp just continues to miss opportunities. So for this second game against San Jose, we're going to go with the starters. I want to save them and not risk injury, but we have to keep them match fit as well. I don't want them going into the playoffs all rusty and just not having played in about a month. So we're going to go with them here. They come back and get the win. Michaels, Lodero, and Dempsey scoring the goals. That made me nervous. Thought we might actually lose that game. San Jose got off to a good start, but these boys, they don't give up that easily. They're a good team, and we're a strong team. I like our chances in the playoffs this year. All right, well, here's something I didn't expect to happen. Before the last game of the regular season, Stefan Fry has come to me and saying he's a little bit unsettled. He's finding it hard to play so far from home, even though he now is actually training with the U.S. national team in real life, so not all that far from home, I don't think. But you know what? We're going to offer him a new contract, and hopefully that resolves any doubts he's having about staying in Seattle. I want to keep this guy. I thought maybe I'd give him, like, this season, maybe we might make a transition. He's been so good this year that I have no problem, even at 31 years old, I have no problem in bringing him back. I might keep him for the entirety of this series. All right, so this is the last game of the regular season, and it's an interesting situation we find ourselves in. Obviously, we have nothing to play for here. LA, on the other hand, are surging up the table right now and sit 1 point out of the playoffs. They need to win, and either RSL or Dallas need to drop points in order for LA to make the playoffs. However, we find ourselves in the position where we could knock them out of the playoffs before they even get in. And the number of times the LA Galaxy have knocked the Sounders out of the playoffs, I thought, you know what? The starters are fit. They're ready to go. This is kind of like a playoff game. What better way to get them ready than to play against this team in this situation? So if we can knock LA out before they even get to the playoffs, I feel pretty good about that, honestly. And it might be a risk. I might be risking injury here, but hopefully that doesn't happen. And we do beat the LA Galaxy and end their season. But Tyler Turner did pick up an injury. Honestly, that spot is the one I'm not too worried about. So, you know what? It was worth it. Okay, I'm having a little bit of second thoughts about that being actually worth it. Tyler Turner's season is done. He tore his groin. He's going to be out 6 weeks. He's going to miss the playoffs. I actually really like him. He far outplayed Cunningham at right back. He's actually my first choice right back at this point. We're not going to have him for the playoff run. Was it worth knocking LA out when we lose a player like Tyler Turner? Not so sure anymore. I kind of would rather have Tyler Turner with us, but I made that choice. We have to live with it. Turner's done. All right, so before we get in and do the squad report, which I'll do in just a minute, let's have a look at these objectives real quick because we might be in a little bit of trouble here. The board keeps emailing me and saying that we're not on track, that we're not going to complete these objectives. I thought they were talking about the one crucial first team player assigned to a forward position. And we've talked about that. That was an objective that just for me was unrealistic. With the strikers we already have on this team, I didn't feel the need to sign another crucial first team player in that spot. So I always knew we were going to fail that. However, because we didn't sign any crucial first team players, that hurt our shirt sales, which is our second objective. Gained $16.5 million in earnings from shirt sales. We're not completing that either. We're $3 million away from that. There's not enough time left in this season to complete that objective as well. So because we failed the first one, we are also going to fail the second one. Those are high priority objectives that we're not going to be completing this season. For youth development, it's a medium priority. And what this one is essentially is sign a player out of the youth academy, and in his second season in the league, he has to play in 50% of your team's games. If Tremblay doesn't complete this goal this season, we're not completing this one either. And that's a big problem. So that's 3 objectives now that we're not going to be completing unless Tremblay can do it. And I think he's on track to do it. I'm not really sure. That's a tricky objective because you really have to be paying attention to how many games your young players are getting. And I wasn't paying that close attention, but he's close. I think he's going to be able to get that one. For financial, we're not completing this one. We had to finish the season with a profit margin of $33 million. If I had sold Nico Ladero, we could have done it, but I didn't. So we're going to fail this as well. Thankfully, this is just a low priority objective, but still, it's another objective that we're not going to get. So we're on to domestic success. That is all we've got. Essentially, this is all that we can count on this season. We've won the US Open Cup. Thankfully, that might actually save our job. The other one is become playoff champion. So everything rides on this playoff run. Everything. This series, our job, everything rides on this playoff run. If we don't become MLS Cup champions, we're most likely going to get fired. All right, so on we go to the squad report now. We're not going to waste any time. Let's jump right into this thing. Starting at goalkeeper, we have Stefan Fry. We've talked about him. He's homesick. I've offered him a new contract. If he signs it, he will stay the goalkeeper on this team. If he declines and he wants to move elsewhere, that means David Mathis will take over as the starter. I have been training him just in case I wanted to make that change on my own, but now it might be forced upon us. So we do have a capable backup, a capable replacement if we are indeed forced to make that change. Bruce Cunningham has grown +2 this season. He's kind of our third string goalkeeper. Ethan Rogerson has grown +1. We'll most likely sell him this offseason. And Jay Gauthier, I just called up from the youth academy. I'm probably going to look to put him out on loan. George Cunningham at right back has grown +10. I've dedicated a lot of training to him, but there's still a lot of things we need to work on if he's going to be a consistent player on this team. Tyler Turner has grown +1 all on his own. I haven't trained him at all, and he is my first choice starting right back when he's healthy. Unfortunately, like I have said, he's probably going to miss the rest of the season with that torn growing problem. That's really unfortunate. I really was looking forward to him playing in the playoffs for us. Roman Torres has not grown, but he also has not declined, which is very important because next year, he's going to be my veteran center back in this team because Chad Marshall, who is on the decline, is also going to be retiring at the end of this season. We're going to be missing one of the best defenders in the MLS. He's won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's a fantastic defender. In my opinion, the best center back in the MLS. It is debatable, but I think his record speaks for itself. Tremblay has grown +4. I don't think I've trained him this season, but he will be taking over that spot for Chad Marshall next year, and he will pair in the starting 11 with Roman Torres. Brad Evans doesn't play center back for us, but he does do a good job coming in late in games and solidifying that midfield and bring a little bit more defense to the field when we need it. When we're late in games, when we're winning, I like to bring him on. He does a good job there. Tony Alfaro has grown +1. He's probably going to stay more of a reserve/depth player on this team, but he does do a good job when he's forced into action. And Tomas Cardona most likely will be my third choice center back next year. And maybe in 2 seasons from now, if we still have a job, he'll take over for Roman Torres, and it will be Cardona and Tremblay at the heart of that defense. So I do have a plan for this defense moving forward. O'Neal Fisher, he's a good player to have in a squad. He can play left back and right back. I like that versatility. Not really a starting caliber player, but still a very solid player if I need him to play. And Jovan Jones is the starting left back on this team. Fantastic defender. He's grown +2 this year. He's hit that 70 overall plateau, which I didn't expect him to do. And he's just been a great player for us all year long. Osvaldo Alonso. Man, what can I say about this dude? He's one of my favorite players in the team. Unfortunately, he is on the decline. He still will probably be good enough to be our starting center defensive mid next year, but if we do have to transition away from him at some point, we do have Jesus Merimon, who we brought in this year, midpoint in the season, and he is growing quite nicely. I am training him a little bit, specifically in his passing, because he can't do that very well, but eventually, he might be the player that takes over for Ozzy Alonso, if that ever does indeed have to happen. Julian Chico, we brought in this season. He's growing in a couple of stats, but nothing too much. Joseph Claude Gayao, JCG, the backup right mid kind of in this team. Probably will never be anything more than that, but he is good when I do need to play him. Christian Roldan is the starting right mid, but I'm not sure next year if I'm going to move away from the 4-1-2-1-2, which has worked fantastic for us this season, or if we're going to stick with it. And if we do stick with it, Roldan will continue to play right mid. If we go to the 4-3-3, Roldan will play inside in more of a natural position for him, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Eric Freeberg most likely will be sold at the end of this season. Tyler Campbell's a young player out on loan right now, but does look very good. When he comes back to us, I think he'll have at least a role in this team in some capacity. Thomas Smith has good potential, really, really good potential. However, his starting stats are so bad, I don't know if he'll ever get to the point where he can actually play for this team. You can see I've trained him in a couple of spots this season, but his overall stats are just all around. He's just not a very good player. Alex Endejas, when I brought him in, I really expected him to play a lot, but for some reason, I was under the impression that this guy had 4-star skills. I thought I remembered him having 4-star skills. He has 82 dribbling, which is really good. He doesn't, though. He does not have 4-star skills. He only has 2-star. I was a little disappointed with that, but still, he's a pretty decent player. He's up +2 this season. Nico Ladero, next year, will be probably our most important player. He's going to be the guy that kind of drives this team forward, as he was for the Sounders in real life this season with no Clint Dempsey, because next year, this man right here, the legend himself, Clint Dempsey, will be retiring. So he's not going to be here next year. You can see he's declined a lot this season, but still, his technical abilities, his finishing, and his attacking mindset, just being in the right spot, putting the ball in the back of the net, that doesn't ever really leave a player. Dempsey has finished near the top of the league this year in goals scored. He's still, at 34 years old and only 75 overall, still one of the best players in this league. Lyndon Gooch. This is an interesting player. We brought him in. He comes in just under the designated player cap at $24,000 per week. So he's going to continue to grow. And if and when he will ask for a pay raise, when that happens, we have to decide if we're going to give him a starting spot on this team and make him a designated player, or if we're going to sell him, and that most likely will happen next season. Honestly, I don't know what we're going to do with him. I really don't know what kind of role Lyndon Gooch is going to have in this team. And the exact opposite of that, Harry Shipp is not going to grow. He's going to stay at where he is at. He's a capable player, a bit inconsistent this season. I did prefer Lyndon Gooch over him, but because he's not going to grow and he's going to stay exactly where he is at, he will never ask for an increase in wages, and he'll never become a designated player. And because of that, he is kind of valuable to this team. So I'm not sure if I want to sell him or if I want to keep him as a backup on this team. Nathan Wolf is a young player that I called up just now, so he really hasn't had time to grow all that much. Aaron Kovar is a good young player, +2 this season, though he's been a bit unsettled at times. He might be looking for a move away from the team. Victor Frazier's another young player we have out on loan, so we're definitely covered at center attacking mid. Jordan Morris, he's up +2 this season. I have not trained him at all. He led the league in assists. He finished with 12 assists, 10 goals, which is actually more than I thought. That hat trick in the US Open Cup final really boosted that stat, but 7 goals and 12 assists in the league this year in 30 appearances. Not half bad for our 22-year-old striker. He wasn't really the player I thought he was going to be. I expected Dempsey to be setting up the goals and Morris to be banging them home. In reality, it was the exact opposite. But with Dempsey leaving, We'll see if Jordan Morris can take over that lead goal scoring role on this team. Will Bruin, fantastic. I really didn't expect him to be as good as he was. I didn't give him much playing time in the first half of the season. Considered selling him in the summer, but when he was forced into action with Dempsey's injuries that he picked up a couple. Whenever Will Bruin played, he was great. Finished the season with 9 goals and 3 assists. He's a good player to have on this team, a very, very good backup player. Olex Anderson, wow, was he good. He is an athletic freak, good sprint speed, good acceleration. He grew +1 this year. I trained him a little bit in the first season before I started the series, so that's why he actually is up to 69. And he's pretty good. 6 goals, 3 assists, can play striker or out on the wings, even though that's not one of his actual positions. I like playing him out there. Just get him on the field and let him run, because he will get in good spots and he will make plays for this team. Thomas Banks, the young potential superstar in this team coming out of the youth academy. He has grown +5 this year. Have given him a little bit of training, trying to get his stats up a bit. But I don't know where he fits in this team. And I don't know if he'll have a spot in this team, or if I want to put him out on loan, or if I want to keep him here and keep training him. I'm not sure. I don't know what we're going to do with Thomas Banks. He does have good potential though. So maybe at some point he will factor into this team, but I don't think next year, at least at the beginning, he's not really going to have much of a role on this team at all. Victor Mansoret doesn't have much of a role either, though he does grow a lot. I mean, a lot. And I don't know. At 20 years old, he still has room to grow. We'll see what he can do. We'll keep him in the team, and we'll see what happens with him. Darwin Jones is out on loan. Most likely he will never really be a player on this team. And Justin Michaels is the starting left winger or left midfielder, depending on what formation we decide to go with. He's growing nicely in all of his categories. I have trained him a lot this season as well, specifically in his passing and shooting. So he'll continue to grow, and he'll be a very good player for us next season. Well, that didn't take very long. The goalkeeper position for next year has been settled. It will be Stefan Fry. He's accepted the new contract. He's staying at the team. I'm happy with that. I'm very happy to go into next season with Fry in between the sticks for the Sounders. All right, so here are the final standings for the regular season. Now, keep in mind, in real life, the rules now have been changed to the top 6 teams in each conference making the playoffs. However, EA has not implemented that into the game, so it's still the top 5 teams making the playoffs. So it's a little different, and it's a little unfortunate that that isn't changed, but that's the way it is. So we obviously finished top of the table, having won the Supporter Shield, which also is not in the game either. But we finished top of the table in the West. Vancouver, Portland, Dallas, and RSL round out the Western Conference. In the East, New York Red Bulls, Columbus, NYCFC, Orlando, and New England are the playoff teams from that side. Chicago, unlucky, man. They had a good start to the season. I thought they were going to be a playoff team. They just fell out of the top 5. Again, if the rules were up to date, they would be a playoff team. And actually, they have a better goal difference than New England. How are they not a playoff team? They should absolutely be in 5th place and be a playoff team. I don't know. Chicago is very unlucky, man. That's just the story of the Chicago Fire. I mean, they're just an unlucky team. But those are the top 5 teams from the East and West that will be making the playoffs. And that is where we're going to end things for today. Next time out, we start the playoffs. And like I said, we have to win. There's no other option. We have to become MLS Cup champions again, or we probably will get fired. I don't see a scenario where we lose and keep our jobs. And if we lose our jobs and we get fired, that's it. This is going to be a 1-season series. We're not restarting. That's going to be it. If we fail, we fail. There's no way to say, a glitch caused us to lose our job or something happened that was out of our control. Those were our objectives. If we don't reach them, we're done. And that's it. So there's a lot of pressure. This is probably the most pressure I've felt in a series ever. I don't think we've ever been the overwhelming favorites and been forced to win or lose our jobs. It's very, very scary. There's a lot of pressure in that, but should be a lot of fun as well. And I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to be it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see you when we come back and start the playoffs with the Sounders. See ya.